And hello, everybody, and welcome to the Work You Love webinar. My name is Nathan Eckel, and with me is my good friend Tim Nelson.
Hi, Nathan. It's good to be with you today. I'm looking forward to our webinar.
Yeah, it's always a good time, Tim. So thanks for joining us, and we're going to be talking out of a book by Dan Miller, a friend of both of ours. It's called 48 Days to the Work That You Love, and the goal of this is to help you find or create the work that you love that's going to be meaningful and fruitful for you. And let's talk a little bit more about this before I hand things over to Tim. Want to get right back into the content with you. We're going to talk about the process, the overall 12 weeks that we are talking about week by week in this webinar. So we'll talk about the process of 48 days. 48 days, it can be 50 days, it can be 40 days, but the key thing is that we're tying this into a real achievable format for you. We're going to talk about the challenge of change in this lesson. We're going to talk about the ABCs of finding the work that you love. And then finally, we're going to have some resources there at the end to help you move closer to meaningful work for yourself in the future. So as you can see right here, the first 6 lessons are a little bit unusual because we're going to take a lot of time in these first 6 lessons to do what we call looking inward, to find the unique way that you were created, the things that give you passion, the things that give you joy, the way that your personality is. We're going to help you, empower you to find out more about what that is. And then in the next 6 weeks, it's going to be a little bit more traditional, but also with a twist, because we're going to show you how we can help you supercharge your own job search. Tim, anything you want to add real quick?
I'm right with you on that, Nathan. Looking inward is really the first step before we start looking for a job. We have to understand ourselves and where we're coming from on all this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to encourage you to look inward, just like we're showing you here, the proverbial iceberg and the tip of the iceberg. A lot of people knock being introspective, but Dan Miller, the author, writes that it's about 80% of the process, and that process can be very liberating for you. It can energize you, and then finally, even though it's half of the actual content of the lessons, the final 15% is the job search, and that requires a different level of energy and a different kind of work ethic. But when we get to that point, we're going to help you jumpstart and move forward for that. So having said all of that, it's time to talk a little bit about the challenge of change, and Tim's going to lead us in that process. Tim?
When we think about change, we're really thinking about self-awareness. When we think of change, a lot of people think things are changing around them. People don't have control over things around them. But when we really want to make a change in what we're doing, we have to look inside ourselves and say, what do I really understand about myself and what's going on here? And the only way that we can really get through these things is to believe in ourselves and make a decision that we are going to make a change and learn how to set goals and move in that direction. And the whole idea of embracing change is really kind of unusual. A lot of people are frightened of change. They know when change comes, things change, and they change without them knowing it, or they change because somebody else made a decision. But when we make the decision to change on our own, we suddenly develop this awareness. We start believing in ourselves. And we start embracing change as something we want to happen. We look ahead, and it's really the key to what's going on here. Embracing change. It's the gateway to the work that we love. One of the things Nathan mentioned was that some people are kind of down on looking inward as part of the change process, but it's really about the only way to do it. And when we ask the questions, that's when we're really looking inside of ourselves. And sometimes we have to kind of struggle with ourselves to be honest with ourselves. And sometimes that's a little bit awkward, but I think it's really the way we're headed. So we have to ask ourselves, what are our skills? And sometimes our skills go beyond what we're doing in our jobs. They're the skills we have at home, around the house. They're the skills we have when we're out talking with people in public, socially, in a church setting, out on the sidewalk, in the store. What kinds of skills do we have that we use to engage with other people? What are our personalities like? Do we want to work with people? Do we want to work alone? And we have to be intentional about these changes in our work. We have to decide we want to make a change, and we have to challenge ourselves. I'm here now. In a year, I want to be at another place. And we do that by setting goals and making decisions to move ahead. Even sometimes, despite what we think is going to happen, we have to have faith in our system and that our goals and accomplishing our goals is going to take us beyond where we are now. And we all know that change is a better idea if we come up with it ourselves rather than it's somebody else's idea. If we're at work and your boss says, well, we're going to change this and this and this, well, that means we have to change according to his rules. When you're looking for work on your own and you decide to make a change, it becomes easier if it's your own idea because you call the shots. You set the goals, you decide where you're headed, and you decide this is going to be a great roadmap for you moving ahead.
Absolutely. So we've talked about a different book that we are both studying in which there's a different vocabulary that empowers people instead of is reactionary and makes people feel like a victim. And this is so important, this deciding to enjoy the challenge of change. We get to change. We get to improve. We get to get better. We don't have to. It's not forced upon us. It's something that we get to step up to doing.
I agree with you so much there. We have so much to be excited about when we decide to make a change. It's just a great experience.
Absolutely.
Encourage everyone to set a plan, set some goals, even if they're just goals to start with. Set your plan in motion today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is it for Lesson 1. We abbreviated it. If you want the full version, we have additional websites or resources on our website. We encourage you to check those out, and you're fully capable of doing that. Until next time, this is Nathan and
Tim.
And we bid you a great day. Have an enjoyable time managing change in your own life. We'll see you at the next lesson.
So long, everyone.